Welcome to WikiHoleASMR, the show where every week we click a random Wikipedia article and go down the rabbit hole. Today's random article is Margaret Mills, Bowls. Margaret Mills is a former Zimbabwean international lawn bowler. Bowls career. Mills started bowling in 1964 and won double bronze at the 1981 World Outdoor Bowls Championship in Toronto. In the triples event and team event, the Taylor Trophy. The following year, she won a historic gold medal for Zimbabwe at the Commonwealth Games because it was the first time that Zimbabwe as a nation competed in the Games. She played in the team that won the gold medal in the triples event with Anna Bates and Flo Kennedy at the 1982 Commonwealth Games. Mills went on to compete for Zimbabwe in the fours at both 1990 and 1994 Commonwealth Games. Let's go here to the 1981 World Outdoor Bowls Championship. 1981 World Outdoor Bowls Championship. The 1981 Women's World Outdoor Bowls Championship was held at the Willowdale Bowling Club in Toronto, Canada, from 1 to 15 August 1981. Swaziland replaced Samoa 2 weeks before the competition started due to the Samoan general strike. Norma Shaw of England won the singles gold and double world championship. Elsie Wilkie struggled with the difficult greens, finishing last of 18. The pairs went to Ireland, the triples to Hong Kong, and the fours to England. The Taylor Trophy was won by the English team. Following is a long list of competitions and teams and who won which game, singles, pairs, doubles, and fours. Let's go back to the previous article and see if we can find the sport of lawn bowls, because I have never heard of this sport. Bowls. Bowls, also known as lawn bowls or lawn bowling, is a sport in which players try to roll the ball, called a bowl, closest to a smaller ball, known as a jack or sometimes a kitty. The balls are shaped, biased, so that they follow a curved path when being rolled, which means they are not really balls. The game is played either in teams or one against one. The game was first played in the 13th century. The game is played on grass, although other surfaces are sometimes used. Matches are held either until one player gets a score or when a number of ends are played. The game is mostly played on a bowling green, which can vary by the type of balls being played. Whilst the game is often played outdoors, there are indoors bowling venues and can also be played on rollable carpets. For outdoor games, this is usually on grass. However, it can also be played on Kotula in New Zealand. History. Bowls is a variant of the Boules game, Italian bocce, which, in their general form, are of ancient or prehistoric origin. Ancient Greek variants are recorded that involve throwing light objects, such as flat stones, coins, or later also stone balls, as far as possible. The aspect of tossing the balls to approach a target as close as possible is recorded in ancient Rome. This game was spread to Roman Gaul by soldiers or sailors. A Roman sepulchre in Florence shows people playing the game, stooping down to measure the points. Bowls in England has been traced certainly to the 13th century, and conjecturally to the 12th century. William Fitzstephen died about 1190. In his biography of Thomas Becket, gives a graphic sketch of the London of his day and, writing of the summer amusements of young men, says that on holidays they were exercised in leaping, shooting, wrestling, casting of stones, in jactu lapidum, and throwing of javelins fitted with loops for the purpose, which they strive to fling before the mark. They also use bucklers like fighting men. It is commonly supposed that by "Iactus lapidum" Fitzstephen refers to an early variety of bows, possibly played using round stone. There is a record of iron bowls being used, though at much later date, on festive occasions at Nairn. On the other hand, the "Iactus lapidum" of which he speaks may have been more akin to shot put. It is clear, at any rate, that a rudimentary form of the game was played in England in the 13th century. A manuscript of that period in the Royal Library, Windsor, contains a drawing representing two players aiming at a small cone instead of an earthenware bowl or jack. The world's oldest surviving bowling green is the Southampton Old Bowling Green, which was first used in 1299. Another manuscript of the same century has a crude but spirited picture, which brings us into close touch with the existing game. Three figures are introduced, and a jack. The first player's bowl has come to rest just in front of the jack. The second has delivered his bowl and is following after it with one of those eccentric contortions still not unusual on modern greens. The first player meanwhile making a repressive gesture with his hand, as if to urge the bowl to stop short of his own. The third player is depicted as in the act of delivering his bowl. A 14th century manuscript, Book of Prayers, in the Francis Douce collection in the Bodleian Library at Oxford, contains a drawing in which two persons are shown, but they bowl to no mark. Strutt, Sports and Pastimes, suggests that the first player's bowl may have been regarded by the second player as a species of jack, but in that case it is not clear what was the first player's target. In these three earliest illustrations of the pastime, each player has one bowl only, and that attitude in delivering it was as various 500 or 600 years ago as it is today. In the third, he stands almost upright. In the first, he kneels. In the second, he stoops, halfway between the upright and the kneeling position. The game eventually came under the ban of king and parliament, both fearing it might jeopardize the practice of archery, then so important in battle. Statutes forbidding it and other sports were enacted in the reigns of Edward III, Richard II, and other monarchs. Even when, on the invention of gunpowder and firearms, the bow had fallen into disuse as a weapon of war, the prohibition was continued. The discredit attaching to bowling alleys, first established in London in 1455, probably encouraged subsequent repressive legislation, for many of the alleys were connected with taverns frequented by the dissolute and the gamesters. Erasmus referred to the game as globuum. The name of bowls is implied in the gerund bowling, recorded in the mid-15th century. The term bowl, for wooden bowl, is recorded in the early 1400s. The name is explicitly mentioned as bowls in a list of unlawful games in a 1495 act by Henry VII: tennis, cloche, disse, cardes, bowls. It occurs again in a similar statute by Henry VIII, 1511. By a further act, the Unlawful Games Act 1541, which was not repealed until 1845, artificers, laborers, apprentices, servants, and the like were forbidden to play bowls at any time except Christmas, and then only in the master's house and presence. It was further enjoined that any one playing bowls outside his own garden or orchard was liable to a penalty of 6 sterling, 8 pence, 6 shillings 8 pence, while these possessed of land of the yearly value of £100 might obtain licenses to play on their own private greens. In 1864, William Wallace Mitchell (1803 to 1884), a Glasgow cotton merchant, published his Manual of Bowls Playing, following his work as the secretary formed in 1849 by Scottish bowling clubs, which became the basis of the rules of the modern game. Young Mitchell was only 11 years old when he played on Kilmarnock Bowling Green, the oldest club in Scotland, instituted 1740. The patenting of the first lawn-mower in 1830 in Britain is strongly believed to have been the catalyst for the worldwide preparation of modern-style greens, sporting ovals, playing fields, pitches, grass courts, etc. This, in turn, led to the codification of modern rules for many sports, including lawn bowls, most football codes, lawn tennis, and others. National bowling associations were established in the late 1800s. The Victorian Bowling Association was formed in Victoria, Australia, in 1880. The Scottish Bowling Association was established in 1892, although there had been a failed attempt in 1848 by 200 Scottish clubs. Today, bowls is played in over 40 countries, with more than 50 member national authorities. Game. Lawn bowls is usually played on a large, rectangular, precisely leveled and manicured grass or synthetic surface known as bowling green, which is divided into parallel playing strips called rings. In the simplest competition, singles, one of the two opponents flips a coin to see who wins the mat and begins the segment of the competition, in bowling parlance, an end. By placing the mat and rolling the jack to the other end of the green to serve as a target. Once it had come to rest, the jack is aligned to the center of the rink, and the players take turns to roll the bowls from the mat towards the jack, thereby build up the head. Once it had come to rest, the jack is aligned to the center of the rink, and the player takes turn to roll the bowls from the mat towards the jack, and thereby build up the head. A bowl may curve outside the rink boundary on its path, but must come to a rest within the rink boundary to remain in play. Bowls falling into the ditch are dead and removed from play, except in the event when one has touched the jack on its way. Touchers are marked with chalk and remain alive in play, even if they get into the ditch. Similarly, if the jack is knocked into the ditch, it is still alive unless it is out of bounds to the side, resulting in a dead end, which is replayed. Though according to international rules, the jack is respotted to the center of the rink and the end is continued. After each competitor has delivered all of their bowls, 4 each in singles and pairs, 3 each in triples, and 2 balls each in fours, the distance of the closest ball to the jack is determined. The jack may have been displaced, and points, called shots, are awarded for each ball which a competitor has closer than the opponents nearest to the jack. For instance, If a competitor has bowled two balls closer to the jack than their components nearest, they are awarded 2 shots. The exercise is then repeated for the next end, a game of bowls typically being of 21 ends. Lone ball is played on grass, and variations from green to green are common. Greens come in all shapes and sizes. The most common are fast, slow, big crown, and small crown. Bowls is generally played in a very good spirit, even at the highest professional level, acknowledgement of opponent's successes and near misses being quite normal. Scoring. Scoring systems vary from competition to competition. Games can be decided when 1. A player in a singles game reaches a specified target number of shots, usually 21 or 25, or 2. A team, pair, triple, or 4 has the highest score after a specified number of ends. Games to a specified number of ends may also be drawn. The draw may stand, or the opponents may be required to play an extra end to decide the winner. These provisions are always published beforehand in the event's condition of play. In the laws of the sports of bowls, the winner in a singles game is the first player to score 21 shots. In all other disciplines, pairs, triples, fours, the winner is the team who has scored the most shots after 21 or 25 ends of play. Often local tournaments will play shorter games, usually 10 or 12 ends. Some competitions use a set scoring system, with the first to 7 points awarded a set in a best-of-3 or best-of-5 set match. As well as singles competition, there can be 2 pairs, 3 triples, and 4-player fours teams. In these, teams bowl alternately, with each player within a team bowling all their balls, then handing over to the next player. The team captain, or skip, always plays last and is instrumental in directing his team's shots and tactics. The current method of scoring in the professional tour, World Bowls Tour, is sets. Each set consists of 9 ends, and the player with the most shots at the end of a set wins the set. If the score is tied, the set is halved. If a player wins 2 sets, or gets a win and a tie, that player wins the game. If each player wins a set, or both sets end tied, there is a 3-end tiebreaker to determine the winner. Bias of bowls. Bowls are designed to travel a curved path because of a weight bias, which was originally produced by inserting weights in one side of the bowl. The word bias itself is recorded as a technical term of the game in the 1560s. The insertion of weights is no longer permitted by the rules, and bias is now produced entirely by the shape of the bowl. A bowler determines the bias direction of the bowl in his hand by a dimple or symbol on one side. Regulations determine the minimum bias allowed, and the range of diameters 11.6 to 13.1 centimeters or 4.6 to 5.2 inches. But within these rules, bowlers can and do choose bowls to suit their own preference. They were originally made from lignum vitae, a dense wood giving rise to the term woods for bowls, but are now more typically made of a hard plastic composite material. Bowls were once only available colored black or brown, but they are now available in a variety of colors. They have unique symbol markings engraved on them for identification. Since many bowls look the same, colored, adhesive stickers or labels are also used to mark the bowls of each team in bowl matches. Some local associations agree on specific colors for stickers for each of the clubs in their area. Provincial or national colors are often assigned in national and international competitions. These stickers are used by officials to distinguish teams. balls have symbols unique to the set of four for identification. The side of the ball with a larger symbol within a circle indicates the side away from the bias. That side with a smaller symbol within a smaller circle is the bias side towards which the ball will turn. It is not uncommon for players to deliver a wrong bias shot from time to time and see their carefully aimed shot crossing neighboring rings instead of heading towards their jack. When bowling, there are several types of delivery. Draw shots are those where the ball is rolled to a specific location without causing too much disturbance of balls already in the head. For a right-handed bowler, forehand draw or finger peg is initially aimed to the right of the jack and curves to the left. The same bowler can deliver a backhand draw or thumb peg by turning the ball over in his hand and curving it the opposite way from left to right. In both cases, the ball is rolled as close to the jack as possible, unless tactics demand otherwise. A drive or fire or strike involves bowling with force, with the aim of knocking either the jack or a specific ball out of play, and with the drive's speed, there is virtually no noticeable, or at least much less, curve on the shot. An upshot, or yard-on, shot involves delivering the ball with an extra degree of weight, often referred to as controlled weight or rambler, enough to displace the jack or disturb other balls in the head without killing the end. A block shot is one that is intentionally placed short to defend from a drive or to stop an opposition's draw shot. The challenge in all these shots is to be able to adjust line and length accordingly. The faster the delivery, the narrower the line or green. Variations of play. Particularly in team competition, there can be a large number of balls on the green towards the conclusion of the end, and this gives rise to complex tactics. Teams holding shot with the closest ball will often make the subsequent shots not with the goal of placing the ball near the jack, but in positions to make it difficult for opponents to get their balls into the head, or to places where the jack might be deflected to if the opponent attempts to disturb the head. There are many different ways to set up the game. Crown green bowling utilizes the entire green. A player can send the jack anywhere on the green in this game, and the green itself is more akin to a golf green with much undulation. It is played with only two woods each. The jack also has a bias and is only slightly smaller than the woods. At the amateur level, it is usual for several ends to be played simultaneously on one green. If two moving woods meet, both are taken back and the shots replayed. If a moving wood strikes a stationary wood or jack from another end, it is again taken back and replayed, but the ball struck is replaced where a contact took place. The game is played usually to 21 up in singles and doubles format, with some competitions playing to 31 up. The panel, Professional Crown Green Bowls, is played at the Red Lion Bowling Green, West Houghton, Daily, and is played to 41 up with greenside betting throughout play. The green was formerly owned by the pub, now demolished, but was purchased in 2007 by the panel who paid the brewery £12,000 for the renowned green and its surrounds. Singles, triples, and fours, and Australian pairs are some ways the game can be played. In singles, Two people play against each other, and the first to reach 21, 25, or 31 shots as decided by the controlling body is the winner. In one variation of singles play, each player uses two balls only, and the game is played over 21 ends. A player concedes the game before the 21st end if the score difference is such that it is impossible to draw equal or win within the 21 ends. If the score is equal after 21 ends, an extra end is played to decide the winner. An additional scoring method is set play. This comprises two sets over 9 ends. If the player win a set each, then they play a further 3 ends that will decide the winner. Pairs allow both people on a team to play skip and lead. The lead throws 2 balls, the skip delivers 2, then the lead delivers his remaining 2, the skip then delivers his remaining 2 balls. Each end, the leads and skips switch positions. This is played over 21 ends or sets play. Triples is with 3 players, while fours is with 4 players in each team and is played over 21 ends. Another pairs variation is 2-4-2 pairs, also known as Australian pairs. In the first end of the game, the players lead off with 2 balls each. Then the B players play 4 balls each, before the A players complete the end with their final 2 balls. The A players act as lead and skip in the same end. In the second end, the roles are reversed, with the A players being in the middle. This alternating pattern continues through the game, which is typically over 15 ends. Short mat bowls is an all-year sport, unaffected by weather conditions, and it does not require permanent location as the ring mats can be rolled and stowed away. This makes it particularly appropriate for small communities as it can be played in village halls, schools, sports, and social clubs. Bowls are played by the blind and paraplegic. Blind bowlers are extremely skillful. A string is run out down the center of the lane and wherever the jack lands. It is moved across to the string, and the length is called out by a sighted marker. When the woods are sent, the distance from the jack is called out in yards, feet, and inches. The position in relation to the jack is given using the clock. 12 is behind the jack. Tra bowls. In the province of West Flanders and surrounding regions, tra bowls is the most popular variation of bowls. As opposed to playing it on a flat or uneven terrain, the terrain is made smooth but hollow. Tra just means hollow road in Flemish. The hollow road causes the path to be curving even more. The balls are biased in the same way as the lone balls, but with a diameter of about 20 centimeters or 7.9 inches, a thickness of 12 centimeters or 4.7 inches, and a weight of about 2 kilograms or 4.4 pounds. They're a bit bigger than usual bowls. The target is an unmovable feather or metal plate on the ground instead of a small bowl. The length of the tra is about 18 meters or 59 feet. The scoring is also different, as a point is awarded for every shot that brings the ball closer to the target than any opponent's ball. This causes pure blocking strategies to be less effective. In 1972, the West Flemish Tra Bowls Federation was founded to uniform the local differing rules and to organize a match calendar. Meanwhile, they also organize championships and tournaments. Competitions. There are various bowls competitions held around the world. See World Bowls events. Bowls is one of the core sports that must be included at each edition of the Commonwealth Games. With the exception of the 1966 Games, the sport has been included in all games since their inception in 1930. England has so far dominated the sport with 51 medals. In popular culture, Black Ball, a 2003 comedy film about a young bowls player based upon Griff Sanders. Crackerjack, a 2002 Australian comedy film about a wisecracking layabout who joins a lone bowls club in order to be allowed to use a free parking spot, but is forced to play bowls with a much older crowd when the club enters financial difficulty. See also basketballs, bocce, boccia, bull, disabled lawn bowls player classification, Hastings Open Bowls Tournament, lawn game, tank, short mat bowls, Trugo, and World Bowls events. This concludes this episode of WikiHoleASMR. We hope you have enjoyed.